Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So we're going to continue with our study of the Mahāparinibbāna Sutta, the Sutta of the Buddha's last days, Digha Nikaya 16. And we're into the second section now. We're following the Buddha as he wanders through northern India, making like his last tour. The Lord said to Ananda, "Let us go to Kotagama." "Very good, Lord," said Ananda, and the Lord went with a large company of monks to Kotagama and stayed there. Then the Lord addressed the monks thus: "Monks, it is through not understanding, not penetrating the Four Noble Truths, that I, as well as you, have for a long time run on and gone round the cycle of birth and death. What are they? By not understanding the noble truth of suffering, we have fared on. By not understanding the noble truth of the origin of suffering, or the cessation of suffering, and of the path leading to the cessation of suffering, we have fared on round the cycle of birth and death. And by the understanding, the penetration of the same noble truth of suffering, of the origin of suffering, of cessation of suffering, and the path leading to the cessation of suffering, the craving for becoming has been cut off. The support of becoming has been destroyed. There is no more re-becoming." So as last time, the Buddha is giving final teachings everywhere he goes to the different communities of monks and sometimes of lay people. And here he's discoursing on the Noble Truths, which of course was his very first teaching. And it's by not understanding the Noble Truths that we end up wandering in samsara. By understanding the Noble Truths, the craving for further existence is cut off. The Lord having said this, the welfare having spoken, the teacher said, "Not seeing the Four Noble Truths as they are, having long traversed the round from life to life, these being seen, becoming supports pulled up, sorrow's root cut off, rebirth is done." So this short stanza is in verse in the Pali. And the Lord, while staying at Kotagama, gave a comprehensive discourse. This is morality, this is concentration, this is wisdom. Sila Samadhi Panya. Concentration, when imbued with morality, brings great fruit and profit. Wisdom, when imbued with concentration, brings great fruit and profit. The mind imbued with wisdom becomes completely free from the corruptions, the asawas. That is, the corruption of sensuality, the corruption of becoming, the corruption of false view, and the corruption of ignorance, for asawas. Sensuality, becoming, false views, and ignorance. The comprehensive discourse is one that covers the entire teaching from beginning with sila, keeping precepts, leading all the way up to wisdom and liberation. And we saw this last time that he gives, as he goes, he gives this comprehensive discourse in many places. When the Lord had stayed at Kotagama as long as he wished, he said, "Ananda, let us go to Nadaka." "Very good, Lord," said Ananda, and the Lord went with a large company of monks to Nadaka, where he stayed at the brick house. And the Venerable Ananda came to the Lord, saluted him, sat down to one side, and said, "Lord, the monk Salha and the nun Nanda have died at Nadika. What rebirth have they taken after death?" The lay follower Sudatta and the lay woman follower Sujata, the lay followers Kakuda, Kalinga, Nikata, Katisaba, Tuta, Santuta, Bada, and Subada have all died at Nadaka. What rebirths have they taken? Ananda, the monk Salha, by destruction of the corruptions, attained in this life through his own super knowledge, the uncorrupted liberation of mind, the liberation by wisdom. Oh, that means he became an arahant. The nun Nanda, by the destruction of the 5 lower fetters, has been spontaneously reborn and will gain nibbana from that state without returning to this world. So she became a anagami. We have this system of the 4 stages of enlightenment and the 10 fetters. And the 5 lower fetters are destroyed by an anagami. And the name anagami means non-returner. So they never return to existence in this level of existence, but are reborn in the Sudawasa, the Pure Lands, where they eventually attain nibbana after a shorter or longer time. The lay follower Sudatta, by the destruction of 3 fetters and the reduction of greed, hatred, and delusion, is a once-returner, and he will come back once more to this world and then make an end of suffering. The once-returner Sakadagami, they have destroyed the first 3 fetters, that is, the ones that are destroyed by a sotapanna, that is personality view, right and ritual clinging, and skeptical doubt. And they've attenuated the 2 middle fetters of sensuality and ill will. And then that they become what's called the Sakadagami, or once-returner, and such a person is only reborn human one more time. The lay woman follower Sujata, by the destruction of 3 fetters, is a stream winner, incapable of falling into states of woe, certain of attaining nibbana. Well, a stream winner incapable of falling into the states of woe means a stream winner never takes rebirth lower than the human. They never become reborn as an animal or in hell or as a ghost. And one of the phrases that's sometimes expressed by someone in the suttas who attains to stream entry, one of the things they say is, "The gates of hell are shut for me." The lay follower Kakuda, by destruction of the 5 lower fetters, has been spontaneously reborn and will gain nibbana from that state without returning to the world. Likewise, Kalinga, Nikata, Katisaba, Tuta, Santuta, Bada, and Subada. Ananda, in Nadaka, more than 50 lay followers have, by the destruction of the lower 5 fetters, been spontaneously reborn and will gain nibbana from that state without returning to the world. Rather, more than 90, by the destruction of 3 fetters and the reduction of greed, hatred, and delusion, are once-returners, and will come back once more to this world and make an end of suffering. And well over 500, by the destruction of 3 fetters, are stream winners, incapable of falling into states of woe, certain of attaining nibbana. Ananda, it is not remarkable that which has come to be as a man should die, but that you should come to the Tathagata to ask the fate of each of those who have died, that is a weariness to him. No, don't bother me with this stuff anymore. Yeah. Therefore, Ananda, I will teach you a way of knowing Dhamma, called the mirror of Dhamma, whereby the Aryan disciple, if he so wishes, can discern of himself, I have destroyed hell, animal rebirth, the realm of ghosts, all downfall, evil states, and sorry states. I am a stream winner, incapable of falling into the states of woe, certain of attaining nibbana. And what is this mirror of Dhamma by which he can know this? Here, Ananda, the Aryan disciple is possessed of unwavering confidence in the Buddha thus. This blessed Lord is Arahant, fully enlightened Buddha, endowed with wisdom and conduct, the welfare, knower of the worlds, incomparable trainer of men to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, enlightened and blessed. Do we recognize this this passage? This is the what we chant. This is the Tipiso Bhagava Arahang. This is the translation of it. So it's called the mirror of the Dhamma because it goes through the 3 jewels, and the one who has attained stream entry has unwavering confidence, or Could also be said perfect faith in the three jewels. So he is possessed of unwavering faith in the Dhamma. Thus, well proclaimed by the Lord is the Dhamma, visible here and now, timeless, inviting introspection, leading onwards, to be comprehended by the wise, each one for himself. He is possessed of unwavering confidence in the Sangha. Thus, well directed is the Sangha of the Lord's disciples, of upright conduct, on the right path, on the perfect path, that is to say, the four pairs of persons, the 8 kinds of humans. The Sangha of the Lord's disciple is worthy of offerings, worthy of hospitality, worthy of gifts, worthy of veneration, an unsurpassed field of merit to the world. And the last point for a mirror of the Dhamma, and he is possessed of morality dear to the noble ones, unbroken, without defect, unspotted, without inconsistency, liberating, uncorrupted, and conducive to concentration. So, in another passage, the Buddha expands on that a little bit. He says that for one who is a stream winner, it might be possible for them to break a precept in a minor way, but they immediately pull back from it, and they know they've done wrong. It's like if you touch a hot stove and you pull your hand back. So because the stream winner is never reborn lower than human, they never commit any karma that would lead to them taking a lower rebirth. This is a theravada understanding of the enlightened. Of course, for an arahant, say that his behavior is absolutely flawless. This understanding of the effect of awakening or enlightenment on moral behavior is different from theravada, from some of the Vajrayana ideas of crazy wisdom. Both would say that the enlightened person is beyond the morality and the precepts. But in the Theravada tradition, it's because they live perfectly. They would never consider to break a precept, so they don't need precepts. They just naturally live that way. But in the Vajrayana, they have some tradition of enlightened masters who commit all kinds of breaches of precept because they get away with it because they are enlightened, and so they're kind of operating on a different level. So it's a different. Certainly, I think the Theravada way is more benign. You don't have this. I know one of our monks says, we don't have crazy wisdom in our tradition. We just have wise wisdom. And another point to comment on is in the description of the attributes of the Sangha, the 4 pairs, the 8 kinds of beings. This has been some discussion of interpretation of this. The commentarial explanation is what it means. There's 4 levels of enlightenment, and each level has 2 stages, path and fruit. But that's kind of problematic as an interpretation if you are going to take the Abhidhamma understanding of how the stages of how the mind states leading to enlightenment work. Because there is, when a person's coming up to enlightenment, it is a 2-step process. There's path and fruit. Path is magga, is when the Eightfold Path comes together perfectly at the transcendental level, at Lokuttara level. And that's considered the last karma effective moment. And then the very next moment is the fruit moment, phala, which is the realization of nibbana. And that's a resultant moment. So you have this 1-2 process. But if you're looking them at as individuals, it doesn't really make it doesn't make intuitive sense to say there's these 8 kinds of beings, because at any given moment in the world, since that according to the Abhidhamma interpretation, the Magga only lasts for a single mind moment. What's the odds that there's anybody at this moment when you're chanting that who's at that point, right? It's pretty vanishingly small. So there has been, and that's the kind of a commentarial official interpretation of it. Other people have interpreted, later, trying to make sense of it, saying that the pairs might be monks and nuns, or lay people and ordained people, or trying to parse it some other way. But it is a curious phrase. So the mirror of the Dhamma is the perfect faith in Buddha Dhamma Sangha and these attributes, and then uncorrupted, undefiled morality. This Ananda is the mirror of the Dhamma, whereby the Aryan disciple can discern from himself, I have destroyed hell, I am a stream winner, certain of attaining Nibbana. Then the Lord, staying at Nadika in the brick house, gave a comprehensive discourse. This is morality, this is concentration, this is wisdom, etc. And when the Lord had stayed at Nadika as long as he wished, he went with a large company of monks to Vesali, where he stayed at Ampabali's grove. Now we're going to meet this person soon. Ampabali is a famous courtesan. The name means the mango woman, because she was found as a baby abandoned in a mango grove and raised, and she turned out to be such an extraordinarily beautiful woman that all the princes and nobles were vying to marry her. So the king, to avoid all the trouble and disputes, he made her the royal courtesan, which is kind of an honor position. It's kind of like ancient Greece, they had hetairai, and Japan had geishas. It's not like a low class prostitute. It was sort of a very considerable position to be in. The royal courtesan, so she had her house, and she had other girls working for her, and it said that her price was 40 mahakapanas a night, which is a huge fortune. A mahakahapana is 100 kahapanas, and one kahapana is about the wages that a skilled workman would make in a day. So you can kind of work it out. That's a lot of money. Eventually, and after the Buddha died, and later on, she eventually became converted to serious. Like, she was already at this time she was already a follower of the Buddha, but she became a serious and ordained as a nun, and eventually attained arahantship. And she has one of the poems in the Therigatas attributed to her. And then the Lord addressed the monks. A monk should be mindful and clearly aware. This is our charge to you. And how is a monk mindful? A monk abides contemplating the body as body, earnestly, clearly aware, mindful, and having put away hankering and fretting for the world. And likewise with regard to feelings, mind, and mind objects. This is how a monk is mindful. And how is a monk clearly aware? So this is sati and sampajanya, and this is this couple of paragraphs is a short version of the Satipatthana Sutta. And how is a monk clearly aware? Here, a monk, when going forward or backwards, is aware of what he is doing. And looking forward or backwards, he is aware of what he is doing. In bending and stretching, he is aware of what he is doing. In carrying his inner and outer robe and bowl, he is aware of what he is doing. In eating, drinking, chewing, and savoring, he is aware of what he is doing. In passing excrement or urine, he is aware of what he is doing. In walking, standing, sitting, or lying down, or keeping awake. In speaking or staying silent, he is aware of what he is doing. That is how a monk is clearly aware. A monk should be mindful and clearly aware. This is our charge to you. So commentarial note that the Buddha gave this particular teaching at this moment to the monks about mindfulness, because he knew they were going to be in the company of Ampabali very soon, and he was telling the monks, keep your mindfulness about you. Well, this is dangerous here. Now Ampabali the courtesan heard that the Lord had arrived at Vesali and was staying at her grove. She had the best carriage made ready and drove from Vesali to her park. She drove as far as the ground would allow, and then alighted and went on foot to where the Lord was. She saluted the Lord and sat down to one side, and as she sat, the Lord instructed, inspired, fired, and delighted her with a talk on Dhamma. And being thus delighted, Ampabali said, Lord, may the Lord consent to take a meal for me tomorrow with his order of monks. The Lord consented by silence. And Ampabali, understanding his acceptance, rose from her seat, saluted the Lord, and passing him by to the right, departed. And the Lechavis of Vesali heard that the Lord had arrived at Vesali and was staying at Ampabali's grove. The Lechavis are a clan of Katya nobles, warrior nobles, part of the Vajjian Confederacy. In the last section, we talked about the Vajjayans and their war with the Magadhans. That this was before the war broke out, of course. The Lechavis were renowned for, first of all, their wealth and splendor, but also for their martial prowess. That they were, particularly with archery. So although they were very rich and they dressed in great finery, they weren't soft and decadent. They were still warrior nobles. So the Lechawis had their best carriages made ready and drove out of Vesali. And some of the young Lechavis were all in blue, with blue makeup, blue clothes, and blue adornment, while some were in yellow, some in red, some in white, with white makeup, white clothes, and white adornment. And Ampabali met the young Lechawis, axle to axle, wheel to wheel, yoke to yoke. And they said to her, Ampabali, why do you drive up against us like that? Because, young sirs, the Blessed Lord has been invited by me for a meal with his order of monks. Ampabali, give up this meal for 100,000 pieces. Young sirs, if you were to give me all of Vesali with all its revenues, I would not give up such an important meal. Then the Lechavis snapped their fingers, saying, We've been beaten by the mango woman. We've been cheated by the mango woman. And they set out for Ampabali's grove. So you can see these folks were familiar with each other, and they were there was a bit of, it looks like friendly joshing going forth. She kind of rode her chariot up against theirs and kind of banged into the axle and said, I've got the Buddha to come to my place for a meal. You're out of luck. And the Lord, having seen the Lechavis from afar, he said to the monks, Monks, any of you who have not seen the 33 gods, the Tawatingsa gods, just look at this troop of Lechavis. Take a good look at them, and you will get an idea of the 33 gods. This is an expression both of their finery and the beauty of their form. That they were Deva-like in their appearance. Then the Lechavis drove in their carriage as far as the ground would allow. Then they alighted and went on foot to where the Lord was, saluted him, and sat down to one side. And as they sat, the Lord instructed, inspired, fired, and delighted them with a talk on Dhamma. And being thus delighted, they said, Lord, may the Lord consent to take a meal with us tomorrow with his order of monks. But Lechavis, I have already accepted a meal for tomorrow from the courtesan Ampabali. Then the Lechavis snapped their fingers, saying, We've been beaten by the mango woman. We've been cheated by the mango woman. Then, having rejoiced and delighted in his talk, they rose from their seats, saluted the Lord, and passing by on his right, departed. And Ampabali, when night was nearly over, having had choice hard food and soft food prepared at her home, announced to the Lord that the meal was ready. Having dressed and taken robe and bowl, the Lord went with the order of monks to Ampabali's residence, and sat down on the prepared seat. And she served the Buddha and his monks with choice hard food and soft food till they were satisfied. And when the Lord had taken his hand from his bowl, Ampabali took a low stool and sat down to one side. So seated, she said, "Lord, I give this park to the order of monks with the Buddha at its head." The Lord accepted the park, and then he instructed, inspired, fired, and delighted her with a talk on Dhamma, after which he rose from his seat and departed. Then, while staying at Vesali, the Lord delivered a comprehensive discourse to the monks. This is morality, this is concentration, this is wisdom. So you see, he does this in each town he passes through. And when the Lord had stayed at Ampabali's grove as long as he wished, he went with a large company of monks to the little village of Baluva, where he stayed. Then the Lord said to the monks, "You monks should go to anywhere in Vesali where you have friends or acquaintances or supporters, and spend the rains there. I shall spend the rains here in Baluva." "Very good, Lord," replied the monks. And they did so, but the Lord spent the rains in Baluva. And during the rains, the Lord was attacked by severe sickness. So this is the beginning of the end here. The Lord was attacked with severe sickness, with sharp pain, as if he were about to die. But he endured all this mindfully, clearly aware, and without complaining. He thought, "It is not fitting that I should attain final nibbana without addressing my followers and taking leave of the order of monks. I must hold this disease in check by energy and apply myself to the force of life." He did so, and the disease abated. Then the Lord, having recovered from his sickness, as soon as he felt better, went outside and sat on a prepared seat in front of his dwelling. Then the Venerable Ananda came to him, saluted him, sat down to one side, and said, "Lord, I have seen the Lord in comfort. I have seen the Lord's patient enduring. And Lord, my body was like a drunkard's. I lost my bearings and things were unclear to me because of the Lord's sickness. The only thing that was some comfort to me was the thought, the Lord will not attain final nibbana until he has made some statement about the order of monks." "But Ananda, what does the order of monks expect of me? I have taught the Dhamma, Ananda, making no inner and outer. The Tathagata has no teacher's fist in respect to the doctrines." The teacher's fist, meaning he doesn't hold his teachings back. There's no secret esoteric teachings. Everything you need for enlightenment, he openly teaches. "If there is anyone who thinks I shall take charge of the order, or the order should refer to me now, let him make some statement about the order. But the Tathagata does not think in such terms, so why should the Tathagata make a statement about the order?" "Ananda, I am now old, worn out, venerable, one who has traversed life's path. I have reached the term of life, which is 80. Just as an old cart is made to go by being held together with straps, so the Tathagata's body is kept going by being strapped up. It is only when the Tathagata withdraws his attention from outward signs, and by the cessation of certain feelings, into the signless concentration of mind, that his body knows comfort." So the only time the Buddha was free of suffering, of physical pain, was when he went into a deep states of deep samadhi. And this is actually something that's good to know, that you can overcome physical pain with samadhi. It's worth having a look at this phrasing here. He withdraws his attention from the outward signs, from the attention to the objects of the senses, by the cessation of certain feelings, that is, from worldly feelings, which would include pain in the body. He's withdrawing his attention from those things. He enters into the signless concentration of mind. That is, in Pali, that's animata ceto samadhi. And it's not really explained even in the commentary exactly what that's taken to mean, but animata, or signless, is in the Visuddhimagga, that's the name given for penetration into the nature of impermanence. That's the signless liberation. the animata, so without a sign. And Cheto Samadhi, well, Samadhi is that stillness of mind, translated as concentration. Cheto is the combining form of the word chitta, it's consciousness. So he entered into a signless state, animata, which is attained by penetration of the nature of impermanence. So there's nothing to hold on to. Therefore, Ananda, you should live as islands unto yourself. Be your own refuge, with no one else as your refuge, with Dhamma as an island, with Dhamma as your refuge, with no other refuge. And how does a monk live as an island unto himself, with no other refuge? Here, Ananda, a monk abides contemplating the body as body, earnestly, clearly aware, mindful, and having put away all hankering and fretting for the world. And likewise with regard to feelings, mind, and mind objects. So once again, that phrasing is exactly from the Satipatthana Sutta. It's the four bases of mindfulness: the body, feelings, the mind, and mind objects. And that phrasing about earnestly, clearly aware, putting aside hankering and fretting, etc., that's repeated in the Satipatthana Sutta. That, Ananda, is how a monk lives as an island unto himself, with no other refuge. And those who now, in my time or afterwards, live thus will become the highest, if they are desirous of learning. So that's the end of this section. We have the Buddha now, the first overt signs of his illness coming on, and he was able to make a conscious decision. I need to live a little bit longer to wrap up the affairs of the Sangha and give my final teachings. And he was able to hold on to his life principle. We'll see in a later section when he releases the life principle. This is something that I've been told is the phrasing is found in Hindu books of the idea of the meditation master or yogi, someone who's got a mastery of yoga, has control of his life principle, and when the time comes for him to die, he releases the life principle and dies consciously at the time of his own choosing. So the reverse of that would be also necessarily true, that the Buddha was able to prolong his life for some time to finish up his unfinished business, but he knew his life was coming to an end, and he just wanted to get his final last chance to address the monks in the different communities. So